Hello and welcome to Nitrania YouTube channel. You're watching another episode of the Game in a Nutshell series designed for explaining the board game rules. My name is Branislav Berec, and in this video I'm going to do a live teach of the game called Legion, the Siberian Story from ALBI. In order to set the game up, each player chooses a faction. There are 4 factions in the game: Red Army, White Army, then the local militia and bandits, they're called Shaik, and then the Czechoslovak legionaries. When you choose a faction, take both commander screens, choose one of those commanders and then return the other back to the box. It will not be used in this game. And then take the order tokens. You will collect 6 of them. There are 3 standard tokens. Those are these +2, retreat and transfer. And then the other 3 are printed on the screen of your selected commander. So in our case, it's get down, ceasefire, and camouflage. Also take 1 supply token, and then all characters of your chosen faction +2 officers. And similar to commanders, where you only choose 1 for the entire game, you also choose only 1 of these officers for the whole game. So choose 1 of them and return the other back to the box. Then take all your characters, shuffle them well, and draw 6 cards at random. And then take the rest of the cards and place it face down as your draw deck. And then from those 6 cards, choose wisely. You have to choose 4 of them. Let me choose them randomly. These are the 4 chosen for the game. And the other 2 are placed at the bottom of the faction deck. Now, add the officer to the cards you have selected. And these are your 5 cards, 5 soldiers, that you will use for the remainder of the game and, to be honest, for the most of the game. Randomly choose the first player who will get this starting player token. And to clarify, the cards in your hand are obviously hidden from other players. And then shuffle these location cards and place the deck face down on the table. Shuffle the deck of plot cards and leave some space next to these cards, because we will draw the plot cards, place them on the table, and then we will place the soldiers and characters under those plots. So make sure you have enough space on the table. Finally, place this graveyard card nearby, and this is the round track. Place the round marker on the round 1, and with that, we're ready to start. The game is situated in Siberia at the end of the World War I, during the Russian Civil War, where 4 factions, the Czechoslovak legionaries, Red and White Army, and local militias are fighting for resources, fighting for influence, and this is represented by victory points. Players will use their characters to engage in various plots in order to win victory points from those plots, and the entire game is played over 4 rounds, and each round has several phases. At the start of each round, draw the new location card. The location card has an impact on all the plots for the rest of the round. And then draw plot cards. Draw 4 plot cards in a 3 and a 4-player game, and 3 cards in a 2-player game. Then, in a sort of a first phase of the round, players will have a chance to recruit and equip their characters. In a second phase of the round, players will play those characters under these plot cards, so they will assign characters to each plot. Then in the third phase, players will evaluate these orders if there are any present on those plots. And then in the fourth phase, each plot will be resolved. The player with the highest combat power will win the victory points of that plot. Other surviving factions will gain supply tokens as a compensation, so to say. Then at the end of the round, discard all the plot cards, discard the location cards, and this will continue for the 4 rounds. At the end of the 4th round, the player with the most points is the winner. Now, I'll cover all the steps in more detail. So first of all, at the start of each round, as I said, discard any location cards and plot cards from the previous round, and then draw the new location card and the new plot cards. Just make sure that you don't forget that the location card has an impact on all the plot cards in the current round. Then in the first phase, you will recruit characters and equip those characters. In the first round of the game, you will have five cards in your hand, but let's say now we are in the second round, for example. First thing in this first phase, if you have less than 5 cards in your hand, you can draw new cards from your draw deck until you have 5 cards in your hand. This is done for free, you don't have to spend anything. Now, when you have 5 cards, you can draw additional cards, but that will cost you supply tokens. For 3 supply tokens, which you have to spend and return back to the general supply, you can draw additional card. This way you can have more than 5 cards in your hand. If you had additional supply tokens, you would be able to draw additional cards. So you can start the round with a hand of cards which are suitable for plots which are currently on the table. So that's the first thing. This is how you recruit characters. Now, equipment. Equipment cards are these transparent cards. There are 8 types of equipment cards. These 3 give you sort of a military skills. You can see the icons in the top left hand and the top right hand corner. Then these skills are additional skills. I'll talk about them later in the video during the resolution of the plot resolution. And then here we have +1 combat power for the soldier equipped with that card. And this card allows you to give orders, 1 order to other characters that are currently on the table. These are wound cards, these are frostbite cards, and these 3 these cards actually block the military skills. Again, I'll talk about that during the resolution phase. So when you equip the soldiers, you can buy this equipment, and again, let me say, for 1 supply token, you can buy 1 equipment card. You can buy more equipment cards, but maximum 1 card of each type. So let's say I want to buy this one. When you buy the equipment card, add it to the card of the selected soldier. So slide the transparent card into the sleeve, and now the selected soldier has additional skill. You can stack multiple equipment cards in one sleeve, so one soldier can have multiple skills, but you can have maximum 1 symbol of each type on each soldier. And if you have any supply tokens remaining, you can spend them. Again, for each supply token you can buy 1 equipment and equip your soldiers. Now, the last thing in this phase, if you have remaining 2 supply tokens, if you have any order tokens that have been used in the previous round, they will be face up in front of you and they are not available to you. Order tokens which are available are behind your player screen. So for 2 supply tokens, you can refresh or restore one of your order tokens. So you can take that token and again put it behind your player screen. That's pretty much it. If you have any supply tokens remaining at the end of this phase, they are discarded, so make sure you use all of them. And when you play this phase in your first game or games, it's good to do these steps one turn per player, so you alternate taking turns, and during each of your turn you do one of the actions. So you either recruit, or you buy equipment, or you refresh the order token. When you get more familiar with the game, all players can do this phase simultaneously. Then the second phase is called the March phase. In this phase, players will assign characters to the plots which are currently on the table. This phase, the player with a starting token starts first, and then other players take turns in a clockwise direction. And on your turn, you take one of the cards and assign it to one of the plots. Now, there are restrictions. When you look at the characters in this top area on the left, there are three types of icons. Here you can see the star, these kind of bullets, and this symbol. These three symbols indicate to which plots you can assign the chosen character. You can find the same symbols, same icons on plot cards in the top left-hand corner. So, for example, in this situation, when I have this character, it has a symbol which is not present on any of these plots, which means I cannot play this character, I cannot assign it to any of these plots. If I equipped this character with this military skill during the previous phase, it now has this star symbol. Now, don't get confused, even if it's black and here it's white, it's just the symbol that needs to match. So, in this example, I can now assign this character to this plot. I could also assign it to this one because the character has the matching symbol. Now, on your turn, you assign only one character. So now another player may assign a character to any legal plot. It can be the same plot where other players have the cards, obviously. It can be any other plot. Make sure that when you place these characters on the table, that their symbols are visible, and leave some space on the cards for potential order tokens. Now, let's say another character, we can have one here, joins the party on this plot. Now, when you assign new character, it can be assigned to the same plot or any other different plot. When I say that when you place the characters, place them face up, and again, leave some space for the order tokens and make sure the symbols are visible. When you assign a character which has these exclamation mark symbols, it means that you can give orders to other characters. The officer has two symbols, which means with officer you can assign two order tokens. Other characters may have one symbol, which means you can only assign one of those tokens. So let's say we take this officer. When I play this officer, I can assign two order tokens. I can only assign the tokens which are available, so not the ones which have been used previously. And when I take the token with this flash symbol, it is resolved immediately, which means when I place it on any character, you can place it on the character in the same plot or in different plots. When I place it on the character, it has to be resolved immediately, and then it is placed in front of you, in front of your player screen, because this is a public information which order tokens you have already used. When you assign a token with this exclamation symbol, this will be resolved during the order resolution phase. In that case, take the token and place it face down on the chosen character. Now, the officer can assign two tokens. If you play a character with one of these symbols, you can still give orders to other characters, but in this case only one. And finally, when you assign an order token with this watch symbol, it will be resolved during the plot resolution. We'll talk about it. In a minute. So, when you don't have any more characters in your hand, or you do, but you don't want to play them, or you cannot play them, you have to pass. When you pass, you may no longer assign characters to plots, and when all players pass, this march phase is over. One last note, you may assign maximum one order token to each character. Then we move to the third phase, in which these orders are resolved. Orders are resolved in the reverse player order, so the player with the starting token goes last, and orders are resolved one by one, so during your turn you only flip one of your tokens, so you don't flip all of them during your turn. And when these tokens are resolved or flipped, the tokens with this watch symbol are resolved in the following phase when the entire plot is resolved. When you flip the token with this exclamation mark symbol, it is resolved now in this phase. You can find the description of all those tokens at the back of your player screen and also in the rulebook. I'm not going to cover all of them, but for example, this one cancels one wound. I'll talk about that in a minute. And other tokens are resolved during the plot resolution phase. So once you resolve all the tokens, the order resolution phase is completed, and we can now move on to the plot resolution phase. Before we move on to that, one additional note: when you can assign orders to your characters and you don't have any more orders available because all of them are already used, at this moment only you can take all those order tokens and make them again available for no cost at all. So you don't have to spend any supply tokens. Now, when you have them available, you can now take the token and assign it to a character. Okay, the plot resolution. First of all, you have to resolve assault. Assault is this kind of symbol. We have one here, two of them are here. The green player doesn't have any of those symbols. This is resolved in the player order, so in this case, starting with the first player and continuing clockwise, each player counts the number of their assault symbols and assigns those wounds to other players. Green player doesn't have any of these assault symbols, so green player doesn't inflict any damage to other factions in this plot. Then the red player has two of these symbols. So take these two wound cards, transparent cards, and you can assign them to other players, other factions, any way you want. So you can give all the wounds to one faction, or you can split them. This is completely up to the player inflicting that damage. So let's say the red player decides to assign 2 wounds to the green faction. Then we have 1 wound or 1 assault symbol from the white player. Again, white player may decide to put it to the red faction or to the green one. Let's say they also give it to the green player. This is done in the player order, but the actual resolution happens simultaneously. So now each player, again starting with the first one, takes all the wound cards and assign those cards to the characters. This time, the decision is done by the player who was given the damage. Here we have a token which actually removes one of those cards, just to make sure that we resolve all the tokens. Again, the order token is placed face down in front of the player screen. And now we have two wound cards. You can either give both cards to one character, but in that case, if one character has 2 wound cards, it is killed in action and the card would be placed in the graveyard. That means that card is no longer available for you for the rest of the game. The soldier is killed and you will lose 1 victory point for each soldier in the graveyard. So in order to prevent that, you may assign 1 wound card to one character. So when you do that, take the wound card, assign it to the character, slide it into the sleeve, which means the character is wounded. Now, as I said, if the character would receive the second one, it would be killed. But if they survive, their military power still counts for the current plot. This is done. This wound assignment is done by all players again in the player order, and when all players are done, proceed to another step in which you determine the winner of the plot. The winner is the player with the highest combat power. That's the sum of these numbers. So the green player has 7. Always make sure that you include all the modifiers. So the red player has 5, white player has 6. Now, the player with the highest power gains the number of victory points indicated on the plot card. That's 1 victory point here. You gain these victory points in the form of these medals. So take the medal and place it in front of you. This is how you track the number of victory points. All other players who have any surviving characters in this plot will gain this reward, which is 1 supply token. This reward is always supply tokens, either 1 or 2. So as long as you have any surviving characters, you get that additional reward. This is not given to the player who won the plot. Now, in case of a tie, let's say we can have it this way. Let's say like this. In case of a tie, all tied players, in this example, actually all 3 players would gain that victory point from the plot card, and nobody would gain that additional reward. Now, after you determine the winner, let's put it back. After you determine the winner, don't remove the cards from the plot yet, because you have to resolve these additional icons here, icons which are at the lower area of the character cards. There are 2 types of icons. These icons are called violence, and this icon is the first aid icon. With violence, you cripple these military skills of another player. Again, here we have 2 violence symbols, so the white player decides how they split these violence symbols. They can either assign both symbols to one player or split them between different players, different factions. And again, the player who suffers that violence determines how that violence will be distributed among their characters. The violence is marked with these 3 types of cards. You can see the same symbol, which is a crippled symbol, and you can either cripple the top, middle, or the bottom symbol on your card. Again, you can distribute those violence symbols between 2 different characters, and you can assign it both to the same character. Let me show it like this. You can assign it to the same character, so it would look like this. Again, you slide those transparent cards into the sleeves, so both of these top symbols would be crippled, which means they are not available. Or you can take one of those symbols and assign it to another character by sliding it into the sleeve, and so on. Let me put both of those cards on this middle character. And now let's go to the first aid symbol. With the first aid, you can remove 1 wound card from another character, which means this character may not heal itself. You can only do it on another character, so you can take the wound card and take it out, and this way you can heal wounds from your characters. As the very last step, resolve these plot symbols. If you have a freezing plot, then all characters in this plot will get this frostbite card. Again, you can slide that card into that sleeve. You can have 1 character, so it will be like this. You can have the same character having, I'm not going to slide it in, same character with the frostbite card and also the wound card. As long as the character would get second wound card, it would be killed. As long as the character would get the second frostbite card, the character would be killed. Anytime the character is killed, place that card in the graveyard. But if you have the frostbite and the wound, the character is still alive. If you have a character with this coat symbol, that character is protected from getting the frostbite. So in this example, all other characters would get the frostbite card. I'm not going to give it to everyone now. If you resolve the plot with this warming symbol, all characters with these frostbite cards can remove that frostbite from the card. So that acts like healing the frostbite wound. And finally, when you resolve the plot with this symbol, this is a peaceful plot. In this case, these assault symbols wouldn't be resolved. So there are no assaults on this kind of plots. So now the plot is fully resolved. Move on to the next plot, and when you resolve all the plots in the current location, in the current round, the round will be over. Now, all players take all the cards back into their hand in case the cards survived. So put them back into your hand. As I said, any characters in the graveyard remain in the graveyard for the remainder of the game. Discard all the plot cards, all the location cards, and give the starting player token to the next player clockwise. Now you can start a new round, and let me show you how you remove these crippled tokens, crippled icons. When you have a crippled skill, you can reinstate that skill by buying the equipment of the same type. So for one supply token, if I bought this equipment, it would actually reinstate that skill, but instead of sliding this transparent card into that character, you can simply remove the crippled card from that character, and that way the icon is reinstated and the character has this skill re-enabled. The game continues like this for 4 rounds. At the end of the 4th round, count the number of victory points from your medals. Lose 1 victory point for each soldier, for each card in the graveyard, each of your cards in the graveyard, and then the player with the most points is the winner. So that's how you play Legion, the Siberian Story. If you have any questions or comments, I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. If you like the series, please subscribe. You can also support the channel on the Patreon page or by clicking the thank you button under the video. You've been watching Game in a Nutshell. My name is Branislav Berec, and hope to see you next time.